Imagine yourself in a frozen land where winter feels eternal, and the last thing you expect is an encounter with a creature as fierce as it is intelligent. Now what if I told you this story isn't a fantasy, but a real account of a Siberian tiger that hunted a man with a single objective: revenge. In 1997, in the Primory province of Russia, a hunter paid a high price for underestimating the power of nature and animal instinct. But what truly motivated this attack wasn't hunger or territorial defense. It was something else. Something deeply rooted in the memory and behavior of one of the planet's most cunning predators. This isn't just a tale about the struggle between man and beast. It's a story that will challenge everything you thought you knew about tigers and animal intelligence. Stay with me, because what happens next might change your view of the animal kingdom forever. In Russia's Far East, where winter turns entire forests into almost lunar landscapes, a solitary predator began to act in a way that would surprise even the most experienced biologists. The Siberian tiger, or Amur tiger, is known for its strength and endurance in extreme environments. But in 1997, in the remote region of Primory province, one specimen of this species demonstrated something beyond instinct: a precise strategy of retaliation. As reported in the book, The Tiger, A True Story of Vengeance and Survival, by journalist John Valent, the animal was able to identify, track and attack a specific man days after having its prey stolen. The episode began when Vladimir Markov, a local hunter, trespassed into a restricted preservation area and took the tiger's kill, a deer that was likely the feline's only food source for the week. As recorded by the tracking team led by Yuri Trush, head of the Inspection Unit for Environmental Crimes, the tiger didn't react immediately. Instead, it vanished into the forest. For 4 days, the animal stayed off the radar, which was unusual for a predator facing food scarcity. This interval, 4 days between the theft and the attack, was interpreted by experts as evidence of long-term memory and deliberate behavior. According to the tracks found, the tiger carefully followed Markov's movements, analyzing his routine and choosing the right moment to act. As indicated in the records of the local environmental investigation, the wait ended when the feline entered the hunter's camp, destroyed his belongings, and waited for his return. When Markov arrived, he was fatally attacked. This behavior was classified as highly unusual. Under normal conditions, an attack of this kind would be impulsive and immediate. However, as highlighted by Valent and confirmed by data collected at the scene, the tiger showed a remarkable capacity for planning. This episode cast new light on the idea of animal revenge and sparked a series of even more unsettling events. After all, Markov would not be the only victim. In the winter of 1997, Primory province, located in Russia's Far East, faced one of the most severe periods in decades. With temperatures dropping below -30 degrees Celsius and snow completely covering the hunting trails, even the most experienced hunters found their routines challenged. The scarcity of prey worsened with the advance of the harsh winter, making every hunting opportunity a matter of survival. In this scenario, the balance between man and nature became fragile, and sometimes explosive. It was in this context that Vladimir Markov, a local hunter and logger, made a risky decision. Driven by necessity, he walked approximately 2.5 hours into a restricted environmental zone, a territory where hunting was strictly forbidden. This region, in addition to being protected by law, is known as a habitat for Siberian tigers, whose presence imposes a delicate balance with nearby human communities. As recorded in the files of the Inspection Tiger Group, Markov entered without permission, and without proper protection. He didn't just trespass into a preservation territory, he found the trail of a Siberian tiger that had recently taken down a deer. Faced with the opportunity, Markov acted. He took the carcass and returned to his cabin. However, this act did not go unnoticed. The feline, silent and nearly invisible beneath the frozen forest, was already aware of the invasion. What seemed like a desperate action would soon become the spark for one of the most unsettling episodes of wildlife ever recorded on Russian soil. This moment marks the beginning of what would become a confrontation with humans that exceeded the expected limits for the species. The forest, which until then had served as a refuge for both hunters and their prey, now harbored a predator seemingly driven by something deeper. And as Vladimir returned home with his prize, the tiger began to follow another path, a path that would lead directly to him. Just hours after Vladimir Markov returned to his cabin, the Primorye forest began to show unusual signs. During the night, heavy paw prints approached the entrance of his home. As recorded by the tracking team of Inspection Tiger, a conservation unit specialized in monitoring the Siberian tiger, the animal had followed the exact path taken by Markov, as if conducting a silent investigation. But what intrigued specialists most was the tiger's subsequent behavior. The tiger didn't attack immediately. Instead, as observed by investigators who analyzed the site days later, it waited. The predator remained hidden for approximately 12 to 48 hours around the cabin. This kind of patience, this kind of strategy, is something rarely documented among wild big cats, notes John Vaillant, author of The Tiger, A True Story of Vengeance and Survival, a book that investigates the case in detail. When Markov finally returned, the outcome was brutal. The body was found partially buried under the snow, with clear signs of attack and consumption, but also with indications that the tiger hadn't acted out of hunger alone. As mentioned in the report by Russian biologist Yuri Trush, who led the Inspection Tiger investigation, the attack patterns were unlike usual ones. There was deliberate destruction of Markov's belongings, as if the tiger wanted to erase any trace of him from that territory. This behavior led experts to a rare conclusion: the tiger was taking revenge. According to data from the Wildlife Conservation Society, cases of big cats tracking and selectively attacking humans days after an indirect encounter are virtually non-existent in scientific literature. And yet, there in the frozen heart of eastern Russia, nature seemed to have broken its own rules. What was seen that winter was more than an isolated attack. It was a silent warning that even the planet's greatest predators, when provoked, can become something we don't fully understand. After the fatal attack on Vladimir Markov, the Primorye forest became the stage for an even more unusual hunt. Now, it was man who sought to understand the predator's behavior. Led by biologist Yuri Trush from the Inspection Tiger team, a Russian task force specialized in the preservation of the Siberian tiger, the mission had a clear objective: to find the animal before it killed again. But what the investigators found went beyond expectations. Along the path to the attack site, the trail left by the tiger revealed not just erratic movement, but a sequence of deliberate actions. As mentioned by John Vaillant, who accompanied the team during their investigations for the book, The Tiger, the animal seemed to be in a constant state of alert, changing its route at the slightest sign of human presence. Days later, the team found the scene of a new attack. A second local hunter had been killed. The similarity to the first case was disturbing. The tracks indicated that the tiger had invaded the cabin, destroyed objects, and waited for the victim's return, a pattern almost identical to the previous one. According to the official report filed by Inspection Tiger, the evidence pointed not to hunger or defense, but to a complex behavioral motivation. The most impressive thing was realizing that the tiger was making decisions that involved patience, memory, and even risk calculation, noted Trush in an interview recorded in 1997 for a regional documentary. The feline's behavior challenged traditional animal biology logic. It wasn't acting solely on instinct, but as if driven by a kind of wild code of justice. As the snow slowly covered the traces of the latest attack, one question hovered over the investigators: how far would this predator go, and what exactly had triggered such meticulous fury? In an environment where nature dictates the rules with millennial precision, the tiger seemed to have written a new page, one where man for once was the one who needed to fear the jungle's judgment. In the frozen vastness of the Russian Far East, the Siberian tiger, or Panthera tigris altaica, is not just a symbol of strength, but a remarkable example of adaptive intelligence. The case investigated by Yuri Trush of the Inspection Tiger team revealed something rare: a predator acting with logic, patience, and surgical precision, traits generally associated with social mammals like primates and cetaceans. After the fatal attacks, Trush and his team mapped the tiger's actions. The animal not only followed the first hunter's trail for hours, but also stalked his cabin for more than 24 hours, without ever being detected. As pointed out by John Vaillant in The Tiger, this behavior is proof of what experts call strategic intelligence, the ability to observe, wait, and act based on predictions of another's behavior. Scientifically, Siberian tigers are known to have large brains relative to their body size, comparable to those of bears and lions, but what surprised Russian biologists was the intentionality behind every move. The animal avoided traps, took detours to confuse trackers, and only attacked when it was certain of the victim's presence, a pattern that, according to records from the Russian Academy of Sciences, is extremely rare among large felines. Trush described the predator as a patient warrior. In his accounts, he emphasized the absence of impulsiveness. The tiger did not kill for hunger or territory, but as if conducting a carefully orchestrated mission. The use of memory, environmental recognition, and even human anticipation place this specimen in an almost singular category. The expert's conclusion was unsettling. The tiger was not just surviving, it was judging. The forest, silent and lethal, now harbored a mind that observed, learned, and acted with a coldness that defied the boundaries between instinct and consciousness. In this game of reverse hunting, man ceased to be the master of nature, and became just another piece on its board. The hunt for the tiger was no longer just an investigation. In the frozen immensity of the taiga, a confrontation was now unfolding between two predators. An experienced man driven by duty and caution, and a feline that, according to biologist Dale McKell from the Wildlife Conservation Society, displayed deliberate retaliatory behavior, something almost unheard of in recorded big cat attacks. The team led by Yuri Trush advanced with difficulty. The tiger, which had already attacked two men and defied predatory logic, seemed to anticipate every step of the pursuit. Covered tracks, curved paths, even trees marked as distractions. It was as if the animal controlled the pace of the conflict. Trush would later report that he felt as though he were the one being hunted. The final encounter happened near the Baikan River, in a stretch of forest so dense even sound seemed muffled. While tracking recent footprints, the team was surprised by total silence, an absence that, as noted in the official inspection tiger report, often indicated lethal proximity. They knew the feline could be meters away, invisible, watching. When they finally saw it, there was no roar or sudden attack. The tiger just looked. It was a massive animal with scars that told a life of battles, but its eyes were fixed on the men with a calm that didn't match instinct. When the shots were fired, it was over in seconds. The predator fell, but according to Trush, there was no victory, only silence. The later necropsy revealed a debilitated creature, broken teeth, injured ribs, and clear signs of malnutrition. The hypothesis, corroborated by Vaillant in The Tiger, is that constant pain and human encroachment pushed it toward radical behavior. It did not hunt for pleasure. It reacted to the collapse of the balance that had for millennia sustained the relationship between man and beast. Now that you know the story behind the Siberian tiger's revenge, can you imagine what was going through the animal's mind? Was it really a purely instinctive attack or something deeper tied to its intelligence and memory? What else lies within the forests of Siberia that we still don't understand? If you found this story as impressive as I did, leave a comment below with your thoughts on wild animal behavior. Do they really have a sense of justice? Or is it all just a matter of survival? And if you want to learn more about the wild world and its mysteries, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming videos. What's coming next might be even more surprising.